This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, October 3rd, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President Trump seemingly escalating efforts to go after drug cartels. I'm Clayton Neville.
Two people, both Jewish, were stabbed to death outside an Orthodox synagogue in Manchester, England. I'm Ed Donahue.
Sean Diddy Combs tells a federal judge he is a new man after realizing he was, quote, broken to my core. Julie Walker, New York.
European leaders are calling for a harder line on Russia. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
On Wall Street, what shutdown? The stock market opens this morning at new all-time highs for the major averages. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A team of excavators have found $1 million in treasure from a centuries-old Spanish shipwreck. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The shutdown of the federal government has entered its third day as correspondent Donna Warder reports, with no end in sight.
On Wednesday, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, Russell Vought, told House GOP lawmakers in a private conference that layoffs would be starting in the next day or two. But the shutdown already is disrupting the lives of Americans. At the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, tourists were turned away at the entrance on Wednesday. Jim Feather, who lives in Pennsylvania, says it's frustrating that lawmakers in Washington are playing politics.
Their job is to pass a budget, and if they're not doing their job, what are they doing down there?
Molly McAdam of Los Angeles says she supports the Democrats.
If the Democrats were to proceed and find some negotiation without getting the health care for millions, they would just be signing up for a government that the people don't want.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has estimated that some 750,000 federal workers could be furloughed. Donna Warder, Washington.
President Trump is reportedly escalating his efforts to combat drug cartels in America. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
President Trump reportedly is declaring drug cartels to be unlawful combatants. A Trump administration memo obtained by the Associated Press this week says that the U.S. is now in an armed conflict with drug cartels. The U.S. recently struck boats linked to cartels in the Caribbean. The memo links drug trafficking into the U.S. as a reason for the potential use of military force. It reads, quote, the president determined that the United States is in a non-international armed conflict with the cartels. He's directing the Pentagon to take necessary action allowed by the law. According to the president, the U.S. has now reached a critical point where we must use force in self-defense and the defense of others. I'm Clayton Neville.
At least two people have died in a terror attack at a synagogue in England. Correspondent Ed Donahue has details.
Police say a car was driven into people outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue. A man got out and began stabbing people.
This attack has been officially declared as a terrorist incident.
Chief Constable Stephen Watson says officers were on the scene quickly.
Armed officers from Greater Manchester Police intercepted the offender, and he was fatally shot by officers within 7 minutes of the original call.
It took authorities some time to confirm he was dead. They were worried he had an explosive. Two other people have been arrested. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says it's shocking.
A vile individual committed a terrorist attack that attacked Jews because they are Jews and attacked Britain because of our values.
Starmer says increased security will be sent to synagogues across Britain. I'm Ed Donahue.
America in the Morning continues with a check of the national forecast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Looking at the weather map this morning, we're not seeing a great deal of activity overall, but there will be a couple of concerns where we do have rain and thunderstorms. One system we are watching is a storm moving through the Great Basin in the west, which will continue eastward. This will produce some showers and thunderstorms through portions of California, eastward to central and northern Nevada, southern Oregon into Utah, Idaho, and the western portions of Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana. Now, a few of these storms could be heavy and contain damaging winds and small hail. This system will continue eastward on Saturday, possibly producing some gusty thunderstorms Saturday into Saturday night in the Dakotas. Behind the system, it is going to be cooler with sunshine returning. We'll have highs in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And the other system we're watching is across Florida, where a tropical wave will produce showers and thunderstorms through central and southern parts of the state and also spread into portions of the Gulf Coast into southern Louisiana. This rainfall can be heavy at times and lead to localized flooding, of additional showers also continuing across the northern parts of Florida and along the coast in the Carolinas. The coastal areas will also be quite breezy with ongoing rough surf for late season beachgoers. The rest of the nation is going to be tranquil with high pressure holding over a large part of the central and eastern U.S. There will be abundant sunshine for most, and afternoon temperatures in the east will be in the 70s to near 80, which is a few degrees above average. But in the plain states into the Texas and northward to North Dakota, it's going to be quite warm to hot with highs in the 80s and 90s. That's the weather across America. It'll be a warm day in Cincinnati, Ohio, with mainly sunny skies and a high of 85. Reno, Nevada will have a cooler day with plenty of clouds and a couple of showers and a high of 59. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Sean Diddy Combs sent a letter to the judge asking for leniency ahead of his sentencing. Correspondent Julie Walker has details.
Sean Diddy Combs tells a federal judge he is a new man after realizing he was, quote, broken to my core and wondering at times if he was better off dead. The 55-year-old wrote in a letter to the judge that with his mind clear of drugs and alcohol after a year in jail, he can now see how rotten he'd become before his arrest in a case that led to his conviction. In part, Combs wrote, over the past year, there have been so many times I wanted to give up. There have been some days I thought I would be better off dead. The old me died in jail. A new version of me was reborn. Prison will change you or kill you. I chose to live. He also wrote, I am so sorry for the hurt I caused, but I understand the mere words, I'm sorry, will never be good enough. Prosecutors want at least 11 years in prison. Combs' lawyers say he should go free this month. The two prostitution-related counts he was convicted of each carry a maximum 10 years in prison. Julie Walker, New York.
European leaders are calling on each other to take a more aggressive action against Russia's recent wartime maneuvers. As correspondent Sagar Meghani reports, Russian drones have repeatedly entered NATO country airspace.
At a summit in Denmark,
Nous sommes dans un moment de confrontation.
French President Emmanuel Macron warned Europe's at a moment of permanent confrontation with Russia and must respond more aggressively by shooting down drones in European airspace and going after ships illicitly transporting Russian oil.
Russia is a threat, not only to Ukraine, but to all of Europe.
Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen alongside Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
What matters most for Europe's security now is political will.
In Sochi, Russia's Vladimir Putin says European leaders are whipping up hysteria for no reason, saying they can't actually believe Russia's planning to attack NATO. Putin's message? Calm down and sleep peacefully. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A check of business this Friday morning with CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street gets going this morning after record closes yesterday for the Dow, the S&P 500 index, and the NASDAQ. Investors shrugging off day two of the government shutdown. Bitcoin crossed $120,000 for the first time since August. Copper hit its highest since July, which hits the home builders and then home buyers. Nvidia shares hit another all-time high.
History shows that government shutdowns are indeed a non-event, both for the economy and for the markets. Now, in the short term, there may be some effects on things like maybe a rise in jobless claims, depending on how furloughs are treated, maybe lowering airline traffic, things like that, but very temporary, not things that are going to interrupt the overall trend.
Cerity Partners' Jim Lebenthal on CNBC. More weak job market data, this time from employment firm Challenger, Gray & Christmas. Here are CNBC's Mike Santoli and Carl Quintanilla.
Challenger layoffs, a little bit lighter on layoffs month on month, but we're going to do 1 million layoffs for the full year, announced. We haven't done that since 2020. And then hiring intentions in September, the worst September for hiring intentions since 2011.
The jobs market's just not that far from really setting off alarms.
U.S. farmers may be getting some relief in the Trump trade war.
The Wall Street Journal reporting total dollar value here could be between 10 and 14 billion. Some of those farmers have been really hard hit here because the Chinese have not ordered any soybeans at all from American farmers this year. That would normally be billions of dollars that those farmers are going without. Pretty dramatic impact.
CNBC's Eamon Javers. The travel industry taking a big hit from the trade war and now the government shutdown.
It would be $1 billion impact every week that the government is shut down. That's according to Tourism Economics. The travel industry has already seen softer demand. International travel is noticeably off, especially from Canada. Hotel executives publicly have grappled with shrinking government business because jobs were slashed earlier this year. There were fewer government people traveling. You've got a 10% downturn already earlier in the year from Canada. What that does to your numbers, Canadian tourism, it's very problematic. Coastal Maine, northern Adirondacks, New York, Door County, Wisconsin, people that rely on Canadian tourists, they're really feeling the pain.
CNBC's Contessa Brewer. If you're in the market for a used car, the former CEO of Ford Motor Company tells CNBC prices won't be coming down anytime soon. There were fewer cars made during the pandemic, and so fewer vehicles are coming off those 3-year leases, which means less supply and higher prices. On today's watch list, that September employment report not coming out this morning because of the government shutdown. It's delayed. Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, is out.
Indeed. All right, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger, now 24 past. Hundreds of international activists have been detained after Israeli naval forces intercept an aid flotilla moving toward Gaza. Correspondent Sam Mednick reports some well-known names were taking part in the so-called aid mission.
Israel's Navy has intercepted almost all of the boats that have been part of this flotilla of activists that is headed toward Gaza. Israel said that it has taken them to Israeli territory, that everyone is safe, and that they will be deported. There has been about 40 boats sailing towards Gaza for weeks now, with hundreds of activists on it. They say that they want to break the naval siege on Gaza, and that they are bringing a symbolic amount of humanitarian aid to Palestinians there who have been suffering from 2 years of war. All of this took place on Israel's holiest day of the year, the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur, where much of the country was shut down. It's unclear how long it will take to deport people. The activists on the flotilla include prominent people such as Greta Thunberg, as well as European Parliament members and the former mayor of Barcelona. The activists say that they want to raise awareness about the plight of Palestinians in Gaza. Israel said that it needs this naval blockade to make sure that Hamas does not bring in weapons to Gaza, but critics say that this amounts to collective punishment.
Flag football is turning pro ahead of the upcoming LA Games. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says the league plans to launch women's and men's professional flag football leagues in the next couple of years. The timeline outlined by Goodell at the Leaders in Sport conference in London would see the leagues created ahead of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, which will feature flag football for the first time. The league has prioritized flag football as a way to attract young fans. Goodell says, quote, "The demand is there," end quote, at the stateside college and international university level. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports a salvage company made $1 million discovery off the coast of Florida.
A team of excavators have found $1 million in treasure from a centuries-old Spanish shipwreck off a stretch of Florida known as the Treasure Coast.
Yeah, buddy.
The shipwreck salvage company 1715 Fleet Queen's Jewels LLC says that their discovery includes more than 1,000 silver and gold coins, which they recovered over the summer, some with dates and mint marks still visible. The fortune was lost at sea when a hurricane struck a fleet of Spanish ships in July 1715. Over the years, millions of dollars in gold coins from the 1715 fleet have been found in that area. The salvage company's director says that finding 1,000 coins in a single recovery is both rare and extraordinary. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Friday, October 3rd, 2025 is produced by Alexander Hinton. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour,
The battle lines remain drawn on Capitol Hill as the government shutdown continues. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A former Iowa superintendent facing criminal charges after being detained by ICE. I'm Clayton Neville.
A man kills 2 people outside a synagogue in England on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur. I'm Bob Brown.
Tesla has reported a surprise increase in sales in the third quarter. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Baseball's wild card round wraps up and Thursday Night Lights goes overtime. I'm Robert Workman.
Back after these messages. The finger-pointing in Washington continues as the government shutdown begins its third day. Correspondent Sagar Meghani has an update.
The battle lines remain drawn on Capitol Hill as the government shutdown continues.
Day 2 of the Democrat shutdown.
Day 2 of Donald Trump's shutdown.
From House Speaker Mike Johnson to top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries.
Don't ask the Republicans what we should be doing or what we should be negotiating. I don't have anything to negotiate.
Republicans have shown zero interest in even having a conversation.
Johnson says Democrats have dug their own hole.
Because they have decided to vote to shut the government down, they have now effectively turned off the legislative branch,
allowing President Trump and his budget chief to work on cuts to federal agencies and threaten mass firings. The president writes he can't believe Democrats have given him this unprecedented opportunity. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A former school superintendent in Iowa from Guyana is facing criminal charges after being detained by ICE agents. Correspondent Clayton Neville has the update.
Ian Roberts is facing 1 count of being an illegal alien in possession of a firearm. That charge filed by the DOJ. Weapons were found in his vehicle last week. Until the charges were recently filed, the former Des Moines public school superintendent was being held in ICE detention at the Woodbury County Jail in Sioux City, Iowa.
The Iowa Department of Education, the Department of Homeland Security, and others have learned that his citizenship and status and eligibility to work in the United States is not what we were led to believe.
Members of the school board addressed the community at a meeting this week.
For all of us, this is not what we anticipated when we welcomed Dr. Ian Roberts into Central Iowa and the Des Moines School District a little more than 2 years ago. It is a sad and troubling end for an individual who gave many people, especially our students, hope. As Des Moines School Board members, we have a responsibility to uphold the law, to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and to lead the district forward in the best way possible.
Administrators were told this week by federal investigators that Roberts can't legally be employed by the district, despite what Roberts may have presented to it when hired.
DMPS reviewed Dr. Roberts' I-9, where he stated he was a U.S. citizen and provided 2 forms of ID, a driver's license and a social security card. And Denton Davis Brown determined the information submitted was consistent with his claim that he was a U.S. citizen. However, in the past 24 hours, the Iowa Board of Educational Examiners revoked Dr. Roberts' license, meaning he is not able to serve as a superintendent in our state.
According to ICE, the 54-year-old was initially detained by ICE agents on Friday. He was in possession of a loaded handgun, a fixed-blade hunting knife, and $3,000 in cash. I'm Clayton Neville.
President Trump is ramping up his war against drug cartels operating in the Caribbean. Correspondent Julie Walker says the move comes after the U.S. military has launched several strikes against alleged drug smugglers.
President Trump declaring drug cartels operating in the Caribbean unlawful combatants and says the U.S. is now in a non-international armed conflict. That's according to a Trump administration memo obtained by the Associated Press. An official not authorized to comment publicly said Congress was told about the designation by Pentagon officials Wednesday. The move coming after last month's deadly military strikes against alleged drug smuggling boats in the Caribbean.
So we hit a number of boats. You probably saw that.
That was the president Tuesday. He also said,
and now we'll look at cartels. We're going to look very seriously at cartels coming by land.
Democrats have been pressing Trump to go to Congress and seek war powers authority for such operations. I'm Julie Walker.
Authorities believe a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent is responsible for the deadly terror attack outside a Jewish synagogue in England on the high holy religious holiday of Yom Kippur. Correspondent Bob Brown reports.
Tragedy in Manchester, England, after 2 men were killed and 3 others seriously injured in a terror attack outside a synagogue on Thursday, Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year on the Jewish calendar. Authorities say the suspect tried to ram the synagogue with a vehicle, then got out and went on a stabbing spree. At least 3 people were hurt, and so far at least 3 have been arrested. Investigators say the suspect is dead. It all happened in minutes, leaving people in shock.
As soon as I heard shots, I did say, oh my God, that are shot.
Belfast is since 6:30 last night. You want to feel secure.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer attending a summit in Denmark, rushing back home.
The attack in Manchester this morning is absolutely shocking, and we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe.
In New York City, which has the largest Jewish population in America, worshippers in disbelief after hearing about the incident. WABC TV outside a synagogue on the Upper East Side.
It's not just heartbreaking, it's unbelievable.
The rabbi did address the issue of everybody's attitude and think about the future that we are going to sow, and we're not going to see the rewards.
A motive for the attack has yet to be determined. Bob Brown, New York.
Robert Preston Morris, the founder of one of the nation's largest megachurches, has pled guilty to 5 counts of lewd and indecent acts with a child. Morris resigned from his role of pastor last year after a woman in Oklahoma accused the pastor of sexually abusing her when she was a child. According to a statement from the Oklahoma Attorney General, the abuse began in 1982 when the victim was 12 and Morris was staying with her family, and that the abuse continued over the next 4 years. Morris was indicted earlier this year by an Oklahoma grand jury. Under the plea agreement, the former pastor received a 10-year suspended sentence with the first 6 months to be served in the Osage County Jail. Shifting gears, after struggling in the first 2 quarters of the year, correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports Tesla saw an uptick in Q3.
Tesla has reported a surprise increase in sales in the third quarter as the electric car maker likely benefited from a rush by consumers to take advantage of a $7,500 credit before it expired on September 30th. The company reported that sales last quarter rose 7% compared to the same period a year ago. Tesla stock initially rose sharply on the news, but then fell back into losses as financial analysts expressed skepticism about whether the new numbers signal a true turnaround. Even still, last quarter's numbers did beat analyst expectations, who had expected sales to fall slightly, even with a boost from consumers seeking to use the electric vehicle initiative. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The NTSB is investigating the events that led to 2 Delta airline regional jets to collide while taxiing at LaGuardia Airport in New York. According to Delta, an aircraft carrying 32 people was preparing for takeoff to Roanoke, Virginia, when its wing made contact with the fuselage of an aircraft arriving from Charlotte, North Carolina, with 61 people aboard. The collision injured a flight attendant, damaged a cockpit, and tore off part of the wing. However, no passenger injuries were reported. In a statement, the FAA said it isn't immediately clear who was at fault, but air traffic control had instructed the Virginia-bound plane to hold short and yield to the other aircraft. The flight recorders from both planes have been recovered and sent in for analysis. America in the Morning continues. Medicaid cuts targeting abortion are taking effect nationwide. Correspondent Jennifer King reports some health providers are blaming the loss in funding for closures and reduced services.
Across the country, medical facilities are shutting down or scrambling for funding after President Trump's big tax and policy bill blocked Medicaid money from Planned Parenthood and other organizations. Maine Family Planning, serving low-income residents at 18 clinics, lost about $2 million in Medicaid reimbursements and has told its patients primary care services will cease at the end of October. Planned Parenthood says up to 200 clinics across the country might have to close. They've never provided abortions in Louisiana, but had to shutter their only 2 locations there this week. Louisiana's Louisiana's Republican Governor Jeff Landry declared it a win for life, while Victoria Coy, with the Louisiana Coalition for Reproductive Freedom, says it will have a detrimental impact.
It's been really difficult for folks to get prenatal visits before the 12th week, or to get miscarriage management or emergency care because of the chilling effect of the abortion ban.
Planned Parenthood Arizona says it will halt Medicaid-funded services, while Wisconsin's Planned Parenthood affiliate has paused abortion services. In Massachusetts, Health Imperative says they hope to make up the difference with state funding and donations. I'm Jennifer King.
A flotilla of activists attempting to deliver aid to Gaza has been stopped by Israeli forces. Correspondent Karen Shamas provides the update.
Activists on board a flotilla of vessels sailing towards Gaza say the Israeli Navy has obstructed at least 39 of their boats from arriving at the coast of the besieged Palestinian territory. Footage released from the Global Sumud flotilla showed Israeli soldiers forcibly boarding one of its vessels. The Global Sumud flotilla consists of nearly 50 boats and 500 activists and is carrying a symbolic amount of humanitarian aid, which Israel has not been allowing in. Among those on board is climate activist Greta Thunberg, Nelson Mandela's grandson Mandla Mandela, and several European lawmakers. It has remained undeterred in its mission to break the Israeli blockade of aid of the coastal strip and reach Palestinians. I'm Karen Shamas.
Amazon settles a record-setting lawsuit with the FTC for $2.5 billion, and you may be getting a rebate if you are a Prime subscriber. Here's Chuck Palm with more in today's Tech Report.
Amazon has just settled a lawsuit with the FTC for $1.5 billion, including a $1 billion fund that goes directly to Prime subscribers. In June of 2023, the FTC sued Amazon for sneaky, dark patterns that design tricks to enroll you in Prime without a clear heads up, or making cancellations virtually impossible. Amazon agreed to make it clear on how to sign up or exit the Prime service, and has to cough up $2.5 billion, denying any funny business, with $1.5 billion going to existing Prime customers. If you were a Prime customer between June 23, 2019 and June 23, 2025, you may get a whopping $51 rebate on your Prime subscription. Be sure to watch your email or check Amazon's site within the next 90 days. Your eligibility may be automatic. For more, find me at chuckpalm.com.
With a check of Friday sports, here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
3 win-or-go-home games to wrap up the wild card round on Thursday. The Tigers scored 4 times in the 7th inning to top the Guardians 6-3. A little payback after Cleveland knocked Detroit out in last year's playoffs and chased them down for the AL Central Division title last month. Ace Tarek Skubal likes this kind of party.
It feels good. It feels really good. I mean, obviously they sent us home last year, so it feels good to return the favor.
The Tigers got 5 of their 10 hits on the afternoon in that 7th inning. Wencel Perez had a 2-run single in the clutch with the bases loaded. The Tigers now head to Seattle for the American League Division Series starting tomorrow night. The Cubs smothered the Padres 3-1, getting to Yu Darvish early and often. The San Diego starter retired only 2 batters and could not get an out in the 2nd inning. Pete Crow Armstrong and Dansby Swanson drove in runs for a 2-0 lead. Michael Busch added a leadoff dinger in the 7th.
It's fun and it's special and it means a lot, and I'm going to celebrate this one, but a lot of work ahead for sure.
Jackson Merrill led off the San Diego 9th with a homer off Brad Keller, who then hit 2 batters to bring the go-ahead run to the plate. But Andrew Kittredge came on to get the last 2 outs, sending Chicago to the NLDS in Milwaukee. That'll be the first game of the day tomorrow. And the Yankees got 8 innings and 12 strikeouts from rookie Cam Schlittler as they blanked the Red Sox 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, it's electric. Again, Yankee fans are very passionate, so, it was very loud from the jump, and that's what they told me was going to happen. So, again, it was a great feeling, and I was able to kind of channel that energy.
It'll be another AL East clash in the Division Series as the Yankees head to Toronto. The other NL Division Series has the Dodgers at the Phillies. Each of those series is a best of 5. NFL Week 5 kicked off last night in LA. The shorthanded 49ers fought off the Rams 26-23 in overtime. San Francisco, without quarterback Brock Purdy and 5 receivers due to injury, never trailed their NFC West rivals. Mac Jones threw 2 early TD passes, and when Matthew Stafford got the Rams even with 2 second-half scoring tosses, Eddie Pinheiro booted the go-ahead field goal in OT. Then the defense got a 4th down stop to end the game. The Niners now 4-1 despite all those injuries. That's Friday Sports.
It's about time a dog got the lead in a horror movie. Correspondent Kevin Carr has details.
A new horror film is out that has quite a unique framing device.
Good Boy follows a young man with failing health move into his grandfather's old house in the middle of the woods. What makes this movie unique is it's told completely from the perspective of his adorable dog, Indy. Shot from low angles with the human actor's faces mostly obscured, we follow Indy as he investigates strange noises in the house and discovers a malevolent entity lurking about. Featuring common horror tropes like physical manifestation of medical issues and guilt or trauma as horror, it would be just a run-of-the-mill thriller were we not seeing it through Indy's eyes.
I guess I'm next. I should never have come here.
It's atmospheric and dark, though not overly backlit or obscured in shadows. The movie doesn't offer easy answers because that's not what a dog would look for. Instead, it's built on emotion and loyalty, which is the language our four-legged friends understand. Creepy and effective, Good Boy is definitely worth a watch. Good Boy gets 4 chew toys out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
PepsiCo will begin to move toward more natural ingredients in its products. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports artificial dyes are first on the chopping block.
Products sold by PepsiCo include Mountain Dew, Captain Crunch cereal, and Doritos.
We're moving from an artificial to an agricultural raw material supply chain.
Tostitos and Lay's will be the first PepsiCo brands to make the shift, with naturally dyed tortilla and potato chips expected in-store shelves later this year. Tostitos Salsa Verde is switching from synthetic colors to carob powder. Pepsi's Damian Brown used a lemon lime drink as an example. The natural drink has a lighter color to it.
This uses beta-carotene, so extracted from carrots. And you can see that beta-carotene you would think would be orange, but at different concentrations you could give it as a yellow.
Purple sweet potatoes and various types of carrots are being tested to color drinks like Mountain Dew. Pepsi itself does not have artificial dyes. I'm Ed Donahue.
America in the Morning for Friday, October 3rd, 2025 is produced by Alexander Hinton. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.